My name is Jenny Dominguez. I first came to Kendall Presbyterian Church about 30 years ago. Then I came back. A lot of things happened in between, and I'm going to tell you about it. I grew up in North Carolina in a place called Wilson. I started attending First Presbyterian Church. My pastor there was Dr. Harold J. Dudley, and he was a great man. He was my mentor and mentor to a lot of teenagers at that time. A whole group of us decided to go to a retreat, and the church said, well, there is a crystal lake in the mountains of North Carolina that had cabins. We had arts and crafts, we had Bible study, and it was just a great time. And the night before we had to leave, somebody said, well, we haven't seen the mall. Now, of course, in this day and time, nobody would be excited if you said, we want to see the mall. But in those days, that was a big thing. So how are we going to get there? So we had canoes, and we took 2 canoes and we paddled, trying to go across the lake to the mall. And as we got 3/4 there, I see Dr. Dudley and all these chaperones lining the shore of the lake, waiting for us. They didn't have to say a word. They just made a motion, turn around and go back. The next day was the last day. And that night, we went into the sanctuary. There was a little church there. And Dr. Dudley made his sermon. He didn't fault anybody. He just talked about the Lord. And we had music. And then at the end, he said, if anybody wanted to come forth and give their lives, there was nobody on my right or my left, and I felt a little tap on my right shoulder. There was nobody there. But I looked to my left, and one of the ushers motioned to me to come forward, and I was just like a robot. I got right up, went forward. We made our promises. From then on, I felt like a different person, and I wanted to learn more about it. And then went to college, and I met my husband. He loved baseball. So the Washington Senators signed him up, and we got married, and we played in Tucson, Arizona, Midland, Texas. He went up the ladder, so to speak, and then he hurt his shoulder. We had a neighbor in Pinecrest. They went to church here. Their last name was Saub. It was Mary Ann and Ted Saub. And they invited us to be their guest, and I came to this church. We sat right over there. We filled up a whole pew. They took up the collection that day. The gentleman that did it said to my husband, he said, Mr. Dominguez, you have a beautiful family. And he looked at him and he said, took me a long time to make. It was a few years that my husband was not well. He had several things wrong with him, so I took care of him. And he passed away 7 years ago. I felt like I was adrift, and I said, I'm going back to the Kendall Presbyterian Church one Sunday. And I did, and it was like coming home again. I just felt like everyone was my family, and I still do.